Good morning, folks. Hope you're all doing well. So I spent a significant portion of my morning, basically from the time I got up to about half an hour or so ago, on my buddy Trim's stream over on Trim's Art Shack. He was doing Shack Scribbles number 8, I believe, working on a chimera. Really don't need to tap that much. Better smokes, which is always nice. But part of the morning I spent teaching or trying to show someone how to set up a points reward program online. The person I was teaching is a senior citizen and not particularly computer illiterate. So yes, it would have been far simpler for me to simply do the process myself and then give them the information they needed. However, because a lot of people make the mistake of doing things for someone when they should be teaching them how to do it themselves, I try to avoid doing that. Mostly because I believe people should be empowered to take control of their own destinies or fates or whatever grandiose term you want to use. Basically, people should be in charge of themselves. And while it would be, yes, far simpler for me, I had to unplug this just a second. While it would have been far simpler for me to simply do it myself, give them the information they needed, and then hope that they didn't have problems later, that's asinine. It's unfair. And it creates dependence. And one thing I absolutely hate about the nanny state in North America is that it creates dependence. And that makes me insane. I absolutely hate it. And yeah, I do my damnedest never to leave someone with no... If I'm showing someone how to do something, I try to make sure they have the skill to do it before I finish the process. Now, when I'm doing woodworking out here, I'm not trying to teach you guys anything, because I can't give you all the skills and all the background that builds those skills in an hour, 2 hours. I spent months, well, no, to be fair, I spent decades developing the skills I have. But even in formal training, it does take months. My course was intended to be 9 months, ended up being 13, thanks COVID. Won't bother. Anyway, but to stay focused here, which I know it's a bit of a miracle if I do, please like, share, subscribe, comment, go check out my buddy Trim's stuff, check out everybody in the Sultans family, Bezic1000 on Twitch, Jonathan Crow has just started a new channel. Yeah, anyway. Discordia 3052. Bleach Demon. Might as well get everybody in while I'm talking about them. And Bezic also has a YouTube channel as well, I believe. Though I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, no coffee this morning. I already had my coffee with the boys from the Sultans. Let's see. Anyway, if you're going to teach someone something, the best way to do it is to make sure they have the skills. Testing is important because if you don't test, you don't get feedback on how good of a teacher you are and how much knowledge you've imparted. Yes, I realize I have the word calendar written on the back of my hand. I'm old school. I make notes on my own flesh. Something I have to check after I'm done this video. Anyway, if you're teaching someone, you need to test them. And this will be part of the topic for this. But if you don't test them, you don't know how much knowledge they've acquired. You don't know if you're doing a good job teaching. You don't know if you've managed to do your job as a teacher. And the idea that testing standards or even requirements for certain prerequisites, like math, who the I'm sorry. But if you think math is a white supremacy thing, then you've basically signed the death warrant for your society. Okay, you've basically said, my ideology is more important than knowledge. So you've completely reversed from being an atheist to being an absolute faither. The only difference is the religion you practice is now making you dumber. Now, that used to be one of my big issues with religion, was that it tended to take people and not so much force them. And understand, a lot of what I'm about to say comes from back when I was an angry atheist, when I was new to it. And I've since mellowed intensely. And to be honest, I understand where that urge to have a faith comes from, because I have it myself. Now, I'm sorry to Christian friends of mine, Colonel, for example. Yes, I respect your faith, but I can't practice it. I don't have that particular drive, or I don't have the ability to take on faith things that can be based in science. Now, whether or not there's a deity, that question, as far as I'm concerned, for my time here on Earth, it's not relevant. If it turns out in the afterlife that there is a God and I done fucked up, I'll deal with the consequences of my actions then, of my choices. But to come back to teaching, if you don't have standards that people have to meet, then what's the point of even bothering to teach them? Or to try to teach them? Because you're not actually teaching them. Because you're not making sure. Take woodworking. When you're doing woodworking, your job is not finished until you have cleaned. You have to make sure your area, your work area, is clean when you're done. Not because you want it to look nice and tidy and pretty when you start again, though that is a good point. It's because it's a safety issue. You need to have the job finished. And the reason cleaning is part of the job is because if you don't clean, you constantly end up hunting for tools, making a mess, slipping, falling. You're putting yourself in danger, and you're endangering other people. If I didn't clean the floor in here every time I make a pile of sawdust and wood shavings, and I smoke, all I have to do is drop a cigarette and I can start a fire. Right? Not even drop the cigarette. Even if, say, the cherry or the fire, the hot part of the cigarette were to fall off, and I might think it went in the ashtray, and it turned out to hit the floor. If I have a pile of sawdust and wood shavings there, all I have to do is move my foot the wrong way. Even my breathing, even a draft of air is enough to cause a fire. Boom! I'm not joking about that either. Aerosolized sawdust is explosive, or potentially explosive. It's the same thing with teaching. If you haven't done testing, you have not finished the job. You have not discovered whether or not what you are doing is working, and if it's actually imparting the knowledge you want to. Yes, I realize I'm ranting. By fuck, I'm pissed off. Now, when you're teaching someone, you need 3 things. You need to know what you're going to tell them, what you're going to show them how to do, what you're going to teach them to do. You need to know that they are capable of absorbing that knowledge, and you need to know whether or not they've got it. The first 2, you've got next to no control over. Well, the second one you have no control over. You have to figure that out on your own. Sometimes you have to go through the whole process before you figure out, okay, number 2 just isn't there. I don't have someone capable of learning this shit. It's like trying to teach me... Okay, I'm a bad example. I can learn pretty much anything eventually. But it would be like trying to teach me say high philosophical concepts. Yeah, I can get them. But it takes a hell of a long time for me to get stuff like that. I have to work and work at it before I really, really manage to suss it out. I'm not okay, that's wrong too. I am something of a deep thinker. But I'm not particularly academic when it comes to really complex concepts. It's just never been my skill set. Mechanics. I'm not a mechanic. I don't have that inclination. I could probably have it if I worked at it. Doesn't really interest me. Woodworking? Whole different story. You hand me a piece of wood and a sharp item, I'm going to make something. Don't know what, but I'll make something. Now, if you hand me the tools I need, the material I need, and a plan, I'm gone. I'm good. I'm golden. But that's because I was taught how to do it. And I was taught how to do it by family members, family friends, my father. And it's literally a case of, okay, here, Dad, I made this. Is this good? And Dad looked at it and went, yes, that is good. Or Dad looked at it and went, no, that's not good. Try again. Okay. Aces. That's how you teach. The other form of teaching is formal. Much more formal. Very rigid, very standardized. Doesn't always work for everybody. But it's, here's the knowledge. Here's how to apply it. Show me. That's it. That's the entire process of teaching. Simple as hell. And yet, people want to bring ideology into it and say, oh no, this woodworking class is not representative of my sexuality or my ethnic. Fuck off. It's a chisel and a piece of wood. Get to work. Okay, so that's that rant. But look, if you're teaching someone something, be patient. Take your time. No, the same as doing comedy. You have to know your audience. You have to know, read the room, know who you're dealing with. So, teaching this senior citizen how to set up a point reward program, it's tedious as hell. Because if I was doing it myself, I already have the skills to do it. I could have had it done like that. But showing someone else, especially someone who's not particularly computer literate, and I'm not super computer literate myself. I just happen to have the benefit of growing up, of having been born in the 70s. And because of that, high school, they started teaching us computers. And I was interested in computers. Not that interested in computers. It was a tool. Same as a saw or anything else. It's just a tool. I want to know how to accomplish a particular goal. And that means I need to know what tools, what methods to use. So it requires patience. It requires competent teachers. Could we get a few thousand more of those, please? But you need patience. Patience is part of being a competent teacher. And I'm starting to lose my train of thought. So, yeah, sorry about that. But if you're going to teach, you have to be patient and you have to be neutral. If someone says, I don't know, after you've spent an hour teaching them, there is no purpose, no use in getting mad about it. It does you no good. Either you're a bad teacher, and this is where you have to shut your ego off. It's either you're a bad teacher and can't impart the knowledge in a way that works for them, or they're a bad student and just not able to absorb it. It's a shame, but it's not shameful. It simply is. Other than that, what time is it? Yeah, I'm running out of time here anyway. I'm trying to slam this in before Lotus Eater starts. Sorry. But I want to go back to the ideology thing briefly. If your ideology treats knowledge as an enemy, you have a bad ideology. Period. If your ideology cripples any means by which you can acquire more knowledge, it's a bad ideology and it needs to be changed. Even the fucking Catholics study astronomy. Right? Okay, to be fair, they were kind of stupid about what they did to Galileo, but yeah. Or was it Copernicus? If you guys know in the comments, again, history, quick recall, not my thing. I'd have to do a search to know the difference between Galileo Galilei and Nicolaus Copernicus at this point. And I'm running out of breath. I really should. But the biggest issue I have with any of these things is that it's ideologically driven. I was part of the new atheist movement, the skeptic movement, the internet skeptics, whatever the hell you want to call us. And for me, it was because I was coming out of a period where I had been very driven to seek a faith that worked for me. And I got to the point that I realized that faith just wasn't for me. Faith without evidence, I mean. I'm perfectly willing to accept that molecules exist and that they interact the way that they do because there have been empirical evidences produced. And I can see some processes, chemistry class, I can see how some processes work, so I can infer that, yes, this was probably accurate. But when it comes to the idea of the existence of a deity, I haven't seen, for my own personal judgment, I haven't seen anything that proves it to me. And that can't be explained any other way. Which, yeah, I mean, faith isn't for everybody. Right? Now, I very well may end up standing before Anubis in the afterlife, and he might hold up that feather and scales and say, okay, well, let's see how you did. I'll face that when the time comes. But my big deal is to do as much good for as many as I can here. And part of that is to impart what wisdom I've earned, I've gained over a hard life. Silence. That's my alarm for Sultans, for the Lotus Eaters. I've got about 2 minutes, which is good because that'll be about 20 minutes here anyway. But yeah, when it comes to faith, I mean, there are aspects of being a member of a faith that I absolutely envy. Fellowship is one of them. You guys know yourselves my interaction with chat. I love conversation. I love being around people or interacting with people. I think that's something that we've had stripped from us pretty badly, not just in the last couple of years, but in the last few generations. Definitely in the last generation, because, or sorry, little more than the last generation, because with the advent of home computers, it's very difficult for people to interact on a personal level when they can't be there in person. And a lot of people are starting to lose that grace. Anyway, I hate to leave on a black pill, so I'll say this. Go out, meet some people. You don't have to be super friendly. You just say hello. Right? But if you know people you can go and depend on for a conversation, go have a conversation. Don't just pick up the phone. Actually go and see them if you can. I have friends scattered all over the world thanks to the internet. I would dearly love to have the money to simply go and sit down and have a coffee. I'd love to have the money to bring them all together and see what kind of amazing conversations will come. I mean, yeah, anyway. So, there is hope. I know, that's the best I can do for a white pill right now. Anyway, I do hope you're all doing well. I hope you continue to do well. Rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.